Ladies and gentlemen, this is OTC Stock Talk. We have a live Q&A with SWISF, an amazing Swiss company that has the ability to protect your data, communications, and offers a suite of services that people really want to find out about because they're not regulated by United States rules or regulations. They're a Swiss company, so if you trade crypto, check out their VPN. It's something you want to look into and protect yourself. So we're going to ask quite a few questions here with SWISF CEO as soon as he gets in. We are also going to have an amazing open mic. We have the awesome Pat. This going to be OTC Method Man, as I call him, who's going to be running the open mic tonight. It's going to be awesome.
Hello. I'm ready for that.
There you are. All right. Well, we got to wait for just a minute. As soon as he gets in here, I'll invite him up to talk. While the room's filling up, guys, go ahead and share this space. Invite your friends. Tell your people. It's going to be awesome. And with the state of the world, you really do want to know what this company has to offer. Even if it's not just for an investment, you still might want to look into their products and services. Elaine, could you give us a brief overview of Sekur? I mean, when did the company get started and what do you do?
Yes, thank you. So it's not very Swiss to be 15 minutes late, so I apologize with that. I am from Switzerland. Company is Swiss hosting everything. But anyway, so the company started in Switzerland in 2010. 2012, we had our first product called Digital Safe, which is kind of a version of a mini Dropbox, password manager, and email rolled into one. It's now called Sekur Suite. Fast forward to 2012, we set up a company in the US. Comcast was our first customer. They had a kind of a marketplace for cloud. And then in 2017, we set up shop in Canada. And in 2019, we went public in the Canadian Security Exchange. And that same year, we listed on the OTC QB. The reason why we did Canada at first, because it was just a lot easier to list. We did a pure listing from scratch. And now we're basically moving towards the US, obviously, because 95% of our business is there. So what we do is, so the company started in Switzerland in data backup and data privacy. That's what we do. We have our infrastructure there. So company has been around for a bit, and we have our products developed and now sales.
What are some of the unique selling points of the company?
So the selling point, the big thing that we have is, I like to call four things. So first of all, we have our own infrastructure, which is a big difference because if not, you have to go to the third-party cloud hosting companies, the Google, Microsoft, Amazon, and we're hosted in Switzerland, and we have our own technology. We don't use open source coding, which means it's a lot more secure. Less people have access to our code, obviously, and we don't data mine you. So if you're in Switzerland and you also have your own infrastructure, you don't need to comply with what they call the Cloud Act, because you could be in Switzerland, like Proton Mail, for example, that uses Amazon Web Service. They're in Switzerland, but they have to comply with all the US subpoenas. And that's okay for certain things. But if you have a lot of people access to your data, that's usually not good. So we offer the only commercially available privacy communication platform, which has email, messenger, and VPN today. So being in Switzerland, having our own infrastructure, that means our own servers, in Switzerland only, our own technology, and no data mining, that's extremely attractive. And we see that more and more in the US, people loving what we do and what we stand for, of course.
I'm surprised you haven't got a call from Trump so far.
I can't make a comment on that. We do have a lot of, I mean, there's, you know, we're Swiss, right? So first of all, we're neutral.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I can't deny that we have a lot of people in, I'm going to just call it politely, privacy conscious people that have contacted us, that buy our solutions. We have partnerships in the making. As you kind of mention it's an election year and business is booming. That's all I can say.
That's excellent. Yeah, I was trying to make a joke out of that, but I wouldn't be surprised if he hadn't called after everything that's happened here over the last few years. So what solutions do you already have in the market right now?
So what we have today that are selling on a daily basis, we have our secure messenger, our secure email, and our secure VPN. The VPN is extremely unique. I like to stress that because I hear a lot about other VPNs, which I'm going to be nice and not name them because they've all been hacked or they have their officers indicted and fined. These companies spy on people, they sell your data, and they all use the big hyperscalers, which are either Amazon or a Google, or sometimes data centers have their infrastructure, and the data centers use AWS, which means that there's zero privacy, and these guys get caught once in a while. There's an article that shows so-and-so was selling all your traffic. So we have our own VPN. Just so you know, if you see a company with 100 locations, it costs about $2-3 million per location to set up a VPN properly. Nobody has $400 million to spend except the big four, which are the big cloud companies. So you know if you're using something, they are subbing to AWS or Google. So the VPN is big. It's the only Swiss hosted privacy VPN in the world that's commercially available. It encrypts your encryption too, and it only gives you Swiss IP address. Our email secure mail is unique because we have our secure send feature, which lets you send an email to anybody without the ISP of the recipient being able to read it, and obviously without the hackers packet sniffing you and trying to figure out what you're sending. There's a huge problem now called business email compromise. And business email compromise essentially is a scenario where you would send an email, sometime maybe with a payment instruction, and the recipient gets it and the payment goes to the hackers. These are live examples. In 2021, there was 20,000 reports to the FBI. I'm sure now there's a lot more. So we have a countermeasure to that. That's for every plan from consumer to enterprise. And our messenger is unique because it doesn't require any phone number. It's got all the bells and whistles of privacy, self-destruct, this and that. It's really good because there's a vetting process if you want to add someone. And it doesn't data mine you or your address book. And we have a new feature called Chat by Invite. Because obviously we're not as famous as WhatsApp and these other guys, you can basically chat with someone that doesn't have secure. That's kind of our trademark, is that
Oh wow.
not everybody needs.
Yeah, that's cool.
This is big. So
Yeah.
send an email or you can send a text. We just relaunched now, or we're relaunching the US version because the US is the only country in the world that requires an opt-in system. I mean, we have 70 countries. I can text to Switzerland, to India, to Japan, to Kuwait, anywhere, an invite for somebody to click. And when they click, they're on a browser, basically, their own phone or desktop browser. I can chat with them, and then I can remove the conversation, delete the whole thing, and it disappears on every single device, what we say down to bare metal, which means it's a real deletion, not just a surface deletion. And then if you have a business or enterprise account, you can archive this. And I want to stress that, Josh, if I may, archiving Messenger is a huge thing because some of you may have or may not have read about these banks that are being fined because their employees are using Telegram or WhatsApp or something else. They have been paying so far $2.5 billion because they're not using the proper messenger security type thing. And one of the big things is to archive, because if you're a banker and you're going to chat with your client and then you have a self-destruct system, you still need to archive that for FINRA. We've had quite a few articles about it and people saying it could be an answer to Wall Street or whatever. But the point being is that in many industries, you need to archive. So we have that. So the messenger and email and VPN are our application, and we have more stuff that we'll discuss later that we're developing as well.
That's exciting. Like this is a very poignant conversation. It couldn't be better timed in the market. I'm glad to have you on here. If you could, do you have any sales and clients on the platform already? And if so, like what countries are you mainly focused in with your business?
Yes, we do have sales. So the first time we started, it was like 20,000 bucks. Then I think in 22 or 21 we had 100,000. Now we're at $500,000+ a year. Now, one thing I want to stress is that our customer acquisition cost, we call it CAC, was $368 per person. If a user is going to give you 200 bucks, it's not smart to spend 400 to acquire them if they give you 200 a year. So we reduced that acquisition cost down to 30 something bucks. We're going to reduce it to the 20s. And that's direct marketing. That means if we use Google ads and so forth. We have other plans and other campaigns that we're going to use, some influencers, call centers, etc. That's going to bring the acquisition cost down to like $8. So if you spend $8 to acquire a customer that's going to give you 200 a year or more, that is a good business. So we're now in that range that every customer is profitable. Our customers used to spend on average $7, $8 per month. The average revenue per user is climbing up to over $10. And as for a consumer, SMBs and enterprise are double or quadruple that. So we do have roughly about close to 4,000 users on the platform. We do have sales. We basically we have a budget this year by the end of the year to reduce our spending to the point that if we get $40,000 a month in revenue, we break even. Today we're at 30,000 plus, so we're not very far from profitability. So we do have the customers, and 95% of them are from the US. Now, I should mention, Josh, that we have a partnership with the largest telecom operator in Latin America. The company is called America Móvil. You can take a look on the New York Exchange under AMX. And their launch,
AMX.
AMX, yeah, America Móvil. It belongs to somebody very famous called Carlos Slim, one of the top 10 richest guys in the world, and his family. So in Mexico, they have a monopoly. Let's just say that. Anybody has been to Latin America, if you go to Mexico, you're going to be on the Telcel platform on your mobile. If you go to any of the countries called Claro, that's their brand, or Telmex. They own roughly about 65% of the Latin American market. Now, we've done a hard integration with them. That means that if you're in Mexico and you're a corporate person and you just want to add Secure Messenger, you just tell your account manager, boom, it's done. There's no friction. And then you pay your bill to the operator, Telcel, and we invoice America Móvil once a month, and they wire. They're very good at paying. And we've done some small business stuff now. The testing is done, and we get some minor revenue. And end of May, when we're launching our enterprise solution, that's when they're going to open the floodgates. Now, they have 4 million businesses in Mexico alone. The entire company has
That's
about,
it.
yeah. So that's a lot. You can go to americamovil.com, or you look at AMX on the New York Exchange. So that's our biggest telecom operator. We also have two big partnerships.
Before you go
Yeah,
on, how many current clients do you have?
about 3,500.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And so you're going to be introduced all at once to over 4 million businesses.
So the way it works, yeah, I mean, it's not like they open and say, here's 4 million people. But essentially, we already have, I can't disclose numbers too much because we're under SEC quiet period or whatever it's called. But let's just say that the
Yes.
enterprise is going to be big. We have banks lined up, airline, etc. Because the enterprise tool has a few bells and whistles where you can lock the communication. So if you're a bank and you have 300 people, let's say, and you don't want these people to communicate with other secure people, we can lock that in. We can ring fence it. We call it communications control. So those are little extra feature plus groups and things like that. So this is all being launched in May. that's not just for Telcel, that's for everyone. And they already have about a few banks and others lined up. So every month we're going to get users from them because we already have 2 people in Mexico that are basically our team. We have a person who's head of Latin America. She used to work for America Mobile for 15 years. So she knows how it works there. She helped for navigating this company of 250,000 people, employees. So it's not a small company. So they're going to start, I would say, May, June. Every month, we're going to increase user base. On top of that, we have other Latin American network through our shareholders that we're going to extrapolate. And also having America Mobile as a customer is kind of like saying in America, well, AT&T or Verizon is our client. They validated our product. Then it's a lot easier to go and get more deals. We also have in Abu Dhabi a partnership. We have a reseller there. We have already discussed with the CEO of, I guess I can't disclose too much, but there's another country in the GCC, which is the
Well,
region that we've discussed another
before you go
partner.
on and steal more of my questions,
Yeah, sorry about that.
I want to kind of guide you. So for everybody listening, I'm trying to get their mind wrapped around the products you offer as well as who your target client is. I know in sales, it's really important to lock down exactly who uses your product, age, geographic area, all of that. So what's your typical secure user profile look like? I mean, are they consumers, small businesses, or enterprises?
That's a really good question. So the ideal is small businesses, SMBs, and that's because they don't have the IT resources to protect themselves from everyday hacks. So it's a lot easier for them to say, I'm going to pay my $25 a month and at least my emails won't be compromised. We have already SMB customers because they literally go online and just buy. The best part is that when you have individual and small business, you don't need a sales force. You don't need to hire people to sell. The thing sells itself. All you got to do is push online or do partnership, B2B, resellers, and so forth. Enterprise is a very good, it's not the main target because enterprise sales cycle are longer. On the other hand, we charge 3 times more per user for the package because we have more bells and whistles. And it doesn't take many enterprise customer for this to generate very large revenues. So the masses, I'm going to say the ideal customer in the consumer would be obviously you kind of pointed out, more privacy oriented, maybe more conservatively minded people that don't want to use big tech and things like that. And then for the small businesses, we're talking about real estate industry, financial industry, medical, lawyers, finance and real estate, and anything that gravitates around that. Those are the biggest targets because they're being compromised on a daily basis.
It seems to be happening so much right now. I mean, all of America was attacked. Most Android users, anyways, were attacked recently. I mean, they've been hacking into power grids and all kinds of different things. And I don't think it's going to slow down.
No, in fact, it's getting, I have a segment. This is a little free plug for Sekur here. I have a segment on Fox Business. It's every week, and unfortunately it's at 1:30 a.m. Mondays, I guess, on East Coast, 10:30 p.m. Pacific. But I think in a couple of months it's going to move to Sunday afternoon. It's called the Secure Hack of the Week. We actually will put a link to it on our website. We're just tweaking a few things, but every week we talk about these hacks. It's literally does an interview. It's 7 minutes. And the one that just got published was some kind of like eye care company that got hacked with 2.3 million people that got compromised completely. And most of that is because of email.
Wow.
And it happens every
Yeah.
day, obviously. I'm sure you guys all know that. The fact is, we're getting now people contacting us. They buy the small businesses. They don't need a lot of education like maybe 4 years ago, where you really had to convince them that they may get compromised. Now the media does an amazing job. So when you say, listen, this is a privacy Swiss hosted, no data mining whatsoever, and we have a countermeasure in the email so that you don't get the business email compromise, it doesn't take much for them to buy it because we're not more expensive than
Yeah,
anybody else.
that makes sense. I can't tell you how many times my wife has come to me excited about an email, and I'm like, "Don't touch that." I mean, they're coming by email, they're coming by phone. I can't tell you how many calls I get, even we're from CVS Pharmacy, but they have an Indian accent. And why would a pharmacy call you when you don't even use them? It's not going to happen. And they're asking for private medical information. They want to confirm your email address and where you live. And they're using all of that to be able to get your data, and compromise your finances, your website if you own a business, your social media accounts, so they can steal them and use them
Yeah.
for their own benefits. I mean, it's quite ludicrous at the present moment. So this is a very good thing for businesses to be able to use. Now, do you have any B2B partnerships in the U.S. or
We
overseas?
we do. So in fact, I just closed one today. So what happens is right now, because we are, we have our roadmap, right? And our roadmap, I believe if you go to secureprivatedata.com and you download the latest brochure, we have a later one. There's a roadmap plan on it, I believe. Our roadmap is we have a partnership with a company called Ingram Micro. Ingram is they do about $70 billion in sales a year. It's the largest wholesaler of IT solution and hardware. So with this partnership, what's going to happen probably by the end of June, July, we're going to be integrated. We can take advantage of the 160,000 resellers that they have. And then if, let's say, Josh, you have a tech company and you want to resell a solution, you can go to secure.com, sign up. You can be a referral or reseller. So that's going to be massive for the US. We already have 15,000 MSPs we want to contact. We know how to do it as well. We curated this list very carefully. We checked every single company. This is a year's worth of work. So we're pretty excited. So that's one thing. We have a couple other partnership with some big enterprise
Hold
type
on.
reseller. Yeah.
1 second before you go on. What was that email address or the website address? I'm going to put it
So
in the chat
that's
so
our
everybody in
corporate
here can go
site.
to it.
So the corporate site is secureprivatedata.com. And if I may say, the product site is secure.com, SEKUR.
Okay.
So the secureprivatedata.com, we should update actually the latest news that we had, but the brochure is there. There's also an analyst report from FRC Research. They're quite conservative and they actually overestimated our spending, which is good because there's good analysis on it. There's good stuff on that site. I recommend people to go to our corporate site and check it out. But essentially, yes, short answer is we already have a couple of partnerships in the US. We're going to exponentially increase those partnerships. And I wanted to mention, as I talked about referrals, we're going to have a new feature probably coming up in May, where each Secure owner, so if you buy Secure as an individual or what have you, you'll be able to basically refer other people to Secure and you get a month for free per customer. So this is kind of the referral program that's going to go viral. You're going to have your link and like, hey, why don't you try Secure? Now, you mentioned earlier President Trump as a joke, not him as a joke, but him using it.
He's not a joke, but
No,
yeah, I thought
definitely
it was
he's not.
funny.
I have tremendous respect for him. And definitely, I'm going to say, as you mentioned, a lot of these, somebody was telling me, Republicans are very much passionate about these issues of, free speech and not having censorship and whatnot. And they're not the only ones, but those are the majority of the ones. I think that once we get people like that enjoying Secure, the first thing they do is they tell other people, hey, go there and sign up. In fact, we have people contacting us from Department of Homeland and DOD, these ex-veteran, and all of those kind of guys that contact us. There's groups that say, listen, I want to refer this to someone. So we have a big group of 1,000 people that we're building a landing page for, and they can have an individual plan, they can have a business plan, or a family plan. So I think it's a good way to get a lot of people involved. The best part is that we always charge for our product as opposed to free. You know, free, you're the product. If something's free, they're definitely selling your data. So the US is prime for us. It's the most important market in the globe. And our subsidiary actually just moved their office to Miami. We have a lot of contacts in South Florida that we're working with. And we're pretty excited because we'll be able to offer at least some privacy to some people.
Nice. Now, it's definitely going to be more and more important as time moves on. Everybody that's in the conversation right now, in the bottom right hand corner of the screen, you'll see a chat bubble. If you click that, you'll find links to secureprivatedata.com, to secure.com, as well as the YouTube channel where you will hear all the replays of our spaces. So make sure you subscribe and like that. And I've got another question for you, Elaine.
Yes, please.
Do you plan more development and new solutions in the coming months?
We do. If everything goes well, we will start on our Secure Voice and Secure Pro. This is an encrypted voice call without using voice over IP, which means that we're not using run-of-the-mill technology that's compromisable. We have our own tunneling system. And I'm hoping to start the development of this in June if everything goes well, and finish everything by September. When that's done, we already have clients for that. And I know you have free system for voice, but as you know, there's articles left and right when these companies, I remember WhatsApp they got caught, and because people were recording their conversation, and Facebook said it's to improve customer usage or whatever it is. But they always come up with those excuses. This is a paid service, and there's a huge market for people who will pay to get their privacy and security. So that's that. It'll have video conferencing as well. If you use Zoom, by the way, when you accept the terms of use, you are now giving them full reign of your entire content. They record it and they're allowed to modify it. They can modify it and distribute it. So not even what you said.
No.
They can. It's item number 10 on their new terms. So this
So
kind
they
of
can
made
clone your voice and say
yeah.
whatever they want with
They can
your
say
voice.
whatever they want. They can modify the heck out of everything and
Oh.
redistribute. There's a few lawsuits, but it's a thing that they have when you say I accept. So we have a lot of people, a lot of C-level executives. We're not talking about teenagers who don't care. These are C-level executives, government, non-government, private people, high net worth individuals that they'll pay $100 a month for a tweet like that.
So what if you have a voice activated locking system for your safe or your house or your phone? They can use your cloned voice to be able to access that stuff. That's not.
Yeah.
Ah.
That's actually scary. You just kind of gave me an idea, but it's very scary. And now with AI, you can do all sorts of stuff. This is exactly why we do not use AI. We do not integrate. It's like Pandora's box. I mean, AI is amazing for if you do medical research. I'm all for AI to cure cancer, AI to give information, to learn, all of that. But when you embed AI into your own content, emails, etc., to extrapolate that info and resell it, that's where I'm against it, right? We're the anti data mining. So we're going to do the Secure Pro, which is the whole suite. And if everything goes well, by December this year or next year, January, we'll have our own browser, a real privacy browser with no ad. And it's going to be free for anybody that has a secure account.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we're excited.
Question. Now, do you feel the same way about using AI Salesforce?
No,
Like for you to grow your
that's
business, would that be
different.
a negative thing?
So
Okay.
in
All
fact,
right.
we had a call yesterday with a guy that has, it's a call center kind of mixed with AI, let's just say that. And it comes down to $3 an hour for a call center agent as opposed to 15. We're waiting. See, that's another thing with the sales. We didn't discuss too much. But besides the typical, find us on the web, we have a few call centers we're discussing with, a few. I mean, if I have to add them up, there's 50,000 seats. We want to do a deal with a call center with revenue share only. And then the one that has the AI component will pay our $3 an hour for people to do lead generations and things like that. So once we turn
Yes.
on the call center button, I'm going to say, we could very well sell thousands and thousands of accounts a month.
I'm right there with you. I've already been looking into the same thing. That's why I asked. I was like, uh-oh.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned.
Awesome.
Literally yesterday or 2 days ago, I had a call with a guy in Atlanta that has this whole technology, and we're looking at. In fact, his sister is one of the most senior person in the NFL, first black woman in that position. They're going to introduce. So there's going to be some exciting stuff, but in the call center thing, when you use AI to do lead generation, it reduces your cost by 80%. Who's not going to do
Yes.
that?
I'm doing it.
And we're going to do it too. And we're also
It
going to
makes
do it for
sense.
support. In fact, we want to build the AI thing because when people go to our site, we want to build a generative AI that says, well, why is Swiss privacy important? Or what is this? Or how can Sekur help me? Instead of having those tutorial videos. So for that, AI is fantastic. And then also for support. Right now, we do our own support. By the way, we never outsource support. We have our own people.
Excellent.
Yeah, I don't want somebody overseas who's gonna have your data. That's not, that's illegal in Switzerland too, by the way, to do these kind of things.
That
But
there's a
yeah,
huge challenge with the communication because if you don't understand the dialect or their home language, I mean, being able to talk to them is very challenging at times.
well, I'm gonna scare everybody now, if I may. I like to scare people. Um, During COVID, all these people that had call center from Citibank to others, they were using people in the Philippines and India. What was happening in those emerging markets? Everybody was home, and they don't
Yeah.
have high internet and super encrypted, wiring to their huts. So there was huge amount of hacking. So the hackers went to the poor guys that were living in their home, which are not, it's not like in the US where you have high-speed cable or anything. These are weak internet connection that can be cracked on a daily basis, and they stole millions and millions of financial data because the person that was in India or in the Philippines answering for Citibank or one of these other banks, they were basically on a terminal pulling up your entire info with your social and everything, and hackers
No
came in
way.
right there on the terminal to steal it all. I did a couple interview back in the COVID days about that, and that info is still there. So that's one of the reasons why we don't use overseas. And the other reason, obviously, is like the language barrier sometime. But this AI thing can help where somebody says, I forgot how to do this. You don't need a live person. You can have an AI that sounds like a regular person. In fact, our videos are done now that we put the text and the voice. It's an AI person. You don't even know it, but it's AI. So all our tutorial, which used to be real people that we had to pay $500 every time for a video, now we pay $200 a year for a software that does any language, as many video as you want, as long as you plug in the text.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's going to save a lot of time. Okay, so we've talked about the products. We've talked about what you have that you're working on. We've talked about what type of clients you are your perfect client and who you have partnerships with. Let's get into the part where for people that are listening, they're looking at secure data, symbol SWISF, as an investment. They're going to have a few questions that I can think of right off the bat. Let's get into that. In terms of financials, do you have any debt?
No, we have zero debt. We have always refused. By the way, I've invested in companies since 1985. Made money and lost plenty to know not to accept toxic funding. We have never accepted
Amen.
toxic financing. Amen to that. And only equity deal. Now, I'm not talking about these fancy words that become convertible. No convertible debt, no convertible equity, nothing that has the word convertible. And we have zero debt on the book. On top of that, management owns 29% of the company. So we have a vested
You took a
interest.
question.
Yeah. So no debt. We have cash in the bank. We are in the middle of a raise, and we believe I can't discuss too much, but it's
Well,
looking
hold
good.
on, before you go further, because you're taking some of the questions that I had here, so I'm gonna
Yes, sorry.
hold you off for a second. Now, you mentioned you have cash on hand. Now, for those that are listening, that's huge. That means a company's able to operate if something happens because they have reserves. What type of cash do you have on hand at the moment?
Well, we have, let's say, enough cash for the next 12 months. I can't give you an exact number because we're under SEC waiting period, so you have to go back to our financials. But if I may, if you
Okay.
look at our financials, you're going to see we burned a lot of money. This was basically marketing, R&D, infrastructure, all of that. Today, we have a budget that is every quarter we're going to spend less and less, and we can function with as low as $40,000 to $45,000 a month. We generate already 30. So we're about 10, 15 grand a month from being break even. We have cash as well, and there's very strong interest in the raise that we are doing. So as of now, because we're in the middle of our audit too, we can certify that we have enough for the next 12 months from March 31st to, I guess, April 1st next year.
That's awesome. And when do you, not trying to lock you to exact date, but when do you expect that audit's going to be done?
Well, the audit is due for May 1st. So what's going to happen
Okay.
is May, you're going to get the Q4. By then, I think Q1 is due. You're going to get Q4 financial audit, and I think Q1 will be fairly fast, like a week after. The Q1, you will see a difference in the spending that went lower. Definitely Q2 and 3, you will see a dramatic drop in the spending and a much lower negative cash flow. And having no debt kind of helps us because frankly, all these investors that we talk to, they're amazed that we have no debt.
Yeah, no, it's a hurdle to overcome if you ever have been in the situation. So I'm glad you never went there. The next question I have is directly tied to all of this. What does your company's share structure look like right now? Like,
So
how
we
much
have,
do you have authorized, outstanding, and
sure.
how much is in the float?
So authorized, it's unlimited. We have 120 million outstanding. We have in the float, which is what we call non-management. So management owns about 30% of it. And the public float for NASDAQ purpose is 85 million shares. I think in the US, in the DTC thing, there's about 30 million. I can tell you two people own 9 million shares between the two people I know. Some of them have been accumulating over the last 18 months. So the float is not huge. It's fairly stable. And we have a lot of long-term strong shareholders, but then again, you have day traders, you have everyone, right? You have all sorts of people. So 85 million in the public float, that means non-management. In DTC, we have about 31 million shares in the US floating around.
Awesome. Now that's roughly the share structure of one of my clients that listed to NASDAQ not long ago. About roughly 30 million in the float and about the same amount outstanding. So it seems like you're structured to have a very nice foundation for something like that later. What
Yeah,
can share?
sorry.
Don't want to get you into forward-looking statements, so I'm going to refrain from certain questions. But
Yes, thank you.
What can shareholders look for out of the company over the next 12 months? Do you have like a general, like what should they be looking for?
Yeah, so the next 12 months, let's talk about product. Definitely rolling out new solutions, the enterprise solution for sure. That's going to increase business to start. The other thing is definitely increased sales. Last year's sale and this year's sale are not going to be tremendously different, but I would say for next year, definitely there will be an increase because for many reasons, we're having more and more partnership, more and more interest in the company. We definitely are basically we are hoping for. I can't mention any certitude because of the SEC regulation, but we can see profitability on the horizon. That's as far as I can say.
Excellent.
Yeah, that's the most I can say. Unfortunately, we have a F1 filing, which is like an S1, and under that filing, which is fully public, unfortunately, we're limited to what we can say in forward-looking statements. That's the unfortunate part.
That's not unfortunate when we understand why you have that limitation right now. So we'll leave that be. Now, there is one other last thing before we wrap this up, because I do expect to have another space with you after a few things have been accomplished,
Yes.
and we'll talk about those later. But the most important thing to leave everybody with that has been listening to this conversation is, can you offer a promo code for anybody on here that has a small business or that's an individual that wants to go and buy your product or service? I want them to have some special opportunity because they came to OTC Stock Talk.
Absolutely. So the promo code is privacy, PRAVACY. You get 15% off for the next 5 years. When you go to Sekur.com and you select your solution, select one of them, and then as you sign up, it gives you the option to do add-ons for the other two for $2 less per month or whatever. That's a great way to do it, and you get a discount. And if you buy yearly, you only pay for 11 months. Follow the instructions, and yeah, I'd be happy if there's
And
more
what's
and
that
more
promo
people.
code one more time? I'm
Privacy.
texting it to everybody. Privacy.
Yeah,
Lowercase?
doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. And
Privacy.
everyone
Okay.
should follow us on X too. They should, because we have a lot of update, a lot of stuff happening, a lot of posts, some interesting things, articles. So I'd recommend if anybody, and really when you're looking at it, this is a $6 million market cap. So on this year alone, you're paying what, 10 times sales. Company that's within
Yeah.
12 months of profitability. I would say it's, if you're interested in cybersecurity with a company with no debt, and I'm going to say very unique solutions, this is definitely something you should consider, and take a good look.
Well, I'm sure everybody listening, including myself, is going to be following very closely to what's happening. Everybody here, if you click on the chat bubble on the bottom right, I've included the promo code, link to the website. I've also included a link to their public domain that, for investors and in due diligence information. We've got a wealth of knowledge and information for you there. I've also included a link to the YouTube channel for JRC Stock Talk. Go there if you want to hear any replay with any of the spaces. Specifically, in the next day or so, we'll have a posted video of the replay of this Q&A with Elaine.
This space was downloaded via spacesdown.com. Visit to download your spaces today.
The CEO of SWISF. But thank you, man. Thank you very much, Lane. I'm excited to find out what's going on, and I look forward to talking to you again. And hopefully that everything that you're working on at this present moment is blessed and goes through in a seamless way. And I'm looking forward to seeing your success.
Thank you. I appreciate everyone who took the time to listen.
Thank you for coming.
Well,
This was great.
Thank you.
Our last step. Does anybody have any questions for Elaine before we leave? We're about to move on to an open mic topic where people can talk about their hot stocks, due diligence, chop up anything this OTC markets. Before we leave, I want to make sure that any investor or shareholder that has the ability to raise their hand and ask a question has that chance right now. You've got the CEO on the line. There's no better time. Canadian Jennifer, do you have any questions at all? Jay Charles, Shido. All right, fair enough.
If anybody
Elaine,
has question, they can always contact us through our corporate. You should go to secureprivatedata.com, put your email, you get the newsletter when we send it, or you send an email at corporate@secureprivatedata.com. Usually it's at the end of every news release that we have. So feel free to email and we'll reply, and happy to answer any questions in the future.
thank you so much for being on, Elaine. I look forward to sharing direct ways for people to connect with you. Please go follow his X account. Go find out how you can get information on the company when it comes out real time, because I believe with the things that are happening, you're going to want to be looking at this company and seeing what's happening here over the next few months. I'm really expecting exciting things. I think we do have one request to speak. Let's see who that is. Canadian Jennifer, well, here you go. Canadian Jennifer, thank you very much for coming on the space. And you have a question. Just unmute yourself, girl. You can go ahead and talk.
Hello, guys. I just wanted to say hi to Elaine and to let everybody know that I love Sekur, and I've done my due diligence on the stock, and I think it's a great company. So,
Thank
hi,
you so
Elaine.
much,
Thank
Canadian.
you.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Awesome. Well, you heard it here first, folks. I think we've covered everything on the foundational investment of Secure SF or SWISF, Secure Data Limited. And I think that if you can find all the information you need on OTCmarkets.com by looking up the ticker symbol, and if not, you can always go to Swiss or SecurePrivateData.com. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. And you can get the FRC research report. That's a good report to look at. And then we're actually uploading the latest news on it, and you'll see the corporate brochure as well.
Awesome. We have one more question from Jay Charles. What's going on, man? Welcome to the chat.
Hey, Josh. Hey, Elaine. How's it going?
Hey.
Just wanted to say this was a great call this afternoon with everybody on board, and I think kind of repeating everything that was said today. Obviously, I think the people in here know
Thank you,
that
guys. Thanks, Jay.
cybersecurity is a big space this year, especially with the elections. And I think every week that goes by, we're seeing pretty much on the daily some type of data being mined and hacked from either small business or
Hello.
large corporations. So
Looks like we may have gotten cut off.
Nope, we're good.
Oh, okay,
Hold
we're
on
good.
1 second.
Okay.
You're right on the money, Jay. It's happening more and more.
Anyways, I was just pointing out the fact that I think this is a hot space, and I do believe with the share structure of SWISF, it's rare that you find an OTC stock that has this type of share structure, sales, no debt, no convertible, out there, no overhang to kind of beat you up and take the steam away from the sales. So great call.
All right, thanks a lot, man. All right, everybody, we're going to get prepared for open mic session. It's where we chop up everything OTC, hot stocks. Canadian Jennifer, you got your hand up again? Or...
Yeah, hi.
Oh, go ahead.
I just wondered if Elaine could tell me, I missed why he had a quiet time right now for SEC filings.
Sure.
Is that just for the OTC QB, or is there something else happening?
No, because we filed an F1 filing, which is a filing we do to uplist to NASDAQ. And that filing we started in 2022. There's no more questions as far as we can tell. I can't mention much more here, but the bottom line is that until the filing becomes what they call effective, we're technically in a waiting period, it's called. And a waiting period, essentially, you can't go on TV and radio and tell people, hey, go and buy SWISF and things like that. So you have to be very careful.
No, NASDAQ will
Yeah.
get very pissed off.
They
So
get
is that
very
like an
pissed
Yeah,
off.
S1? Is that like an S1
It's an
filing?
S1 for a
Okay.
foreign issuer.
Wow, that's really great. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's I can't say it's been approved because it's technically when there's no
Nope.
more comments, there's no more comments. And then what we do when we are ready, when the market is right, and we're doing a few things to make it ready, let's just say that, then we do a final submission filing, and then as long as we keep our financials up to date, so the quarterlies and the financial yearlies, which we do anyway, as long as we update the filing with our updated financial, this filing remains effective. You can be like that for 2 years. If you don't change your business and just update the financials, it's basically approved. And then and when you're ready, we're not going to wait 2 years, obviously, but we believe that in the next 12 months, the opportunity will be there. We have the bank lined up to uplist, and there's very strong interest in the company because we don't need to have so much money to operate, and we're so close to profitability with very little cash. These banks, by the way, they raise minimum 5 million typically on an uplisting. It's not worth their time to do less than that. So we guaranteed, they are guaranteed that when they do that first uplisting with that initial funding, that's it. We're not going to go in the market for more money because we ran out of it. So that's why they like it. Also, the no debt and so forth. So we basically are kind of stuck until the uplisting. We can't be on TV.
Well, don't
I
hold
used to
your
have
breath.
a show every week on TV on NASDAQ about the company. I had to cancel that, for example.
Yeah, don't hold your breath on how long it's going to take them. Just a year and a half ago, went through this process with them. And since COVID, it's been a little bit slower than usual. But as long as they don't have any more questions, the worst thing you can do is say something publicly that will cause them to have more questions.
That's
So that's
exactly
the
it.
reason
Yeah.
why he's going to be a little quiet at this time. And I want investors and traders to understand that during this process, you really don't want to say something that will give them a reason to come back with more questions. So other than financials and publicly available information, he's probably going to refrain from being involved in those comments.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better. And I'm very happy because I'm comfortable dealing with you because you totally understand the process. And because we've had no more question, I want to remain very quiet. So the only way for somebody to figure out is like, what's this company doing? Well, we do have news release. We do have updates. And you kind of put 2 and 2 together in your head. Market cap that much. This is the industry. No debt. Maybe, it's something to look into. But more than that, I will not be able to tell you. So go on Yahoo Finance or whatever you use and check all our news releases. And you will put together a picture yourself on what this is about. I think that's a great way to do it.
Also, make sure you follow this his X account, Secure Private, and click on the notifications button. And as well as the YouTube account for JRC Stock Talk, we'll have a replay of this so you can go back to any information you didn't hear on this first Q&A. And we'll have him back on after a few things have been accomplished, because I definitely want to have a follow-up with what Elaine's doing in the market. I think we all do. So I look forward to having you back on, Elaine. Thank you very much for being here, and I'll talk to you again soon.